Professional. Put that in there and see if it'll. Take picture. Hold it. This video. Good morning, SEC.
Good morning.
How y'all doing this morning?
Great.
All right, let's everybody stand and sing our opening hymn. Yeah. Look at your partner and say, "My goodness, I'm glad you're here."
My goodness, I'm glad
All
you're here.
right. And then remember that we are magnificent in every way. Hello over there, Siobhan, Maestro. Let's get ready. Yes. We're here to remind you of what? Of what? Come on, loud.
Of your magnificence, to help you awake to all the wonder that you are.
And you are magnificent, yes.
Oh, we long to show you all the joy you're worthy of.
Oh, yes,
We're here to remind you how much you're truly loved.
Take a deep breath in. And let's do this one more time. We're here to remind you all the way, of your magnificence, to help
You awake
to all the wonder that you are. And we long
to show you all the joy
you're
worthy of.
Yes, my dear.
We're here to remind you how much you're truly
Let
loved.
the vibration of love surround you in the building and all around, knowing you are truly the love of God and everything. And we everyone say a big amen together. Amen. All right, have a seat. Put your hands together for yourself. You sound great this morning. Yeah. Woo-hoo.
Good morning, everybody. We're in grateful mode, as always. We're so thankful to be here and to be a part. Like the old folks used to say, I'm glad to be in the service one more time. I'm going to do a song here that the Spirit is revealing as we speak. Let's see, what will I call it? Every sunrise brings a new day.
All right.
Forget about the past. It's dead and gone. Don't worry about tomorrow, 'cause it never comes. Now is not the time to be looking back. Each day brings a new future. Let's make the most of this day. Every sunrise brings a new day. Tomorrow and the past, they just fade away. Let us live for today. Everything must change. It's a natural law. And through all of the changes, God remains the same. just fade away. Let us live for today. Every sunrise brings a new day. Tomorrow and the past, they may fade away. Let us live for today. Forget about the past. It's dead and gone. Don't worry about tomorrow. It never comes. Every sunrise brings a new day. Tomorrow and the past both just fade away. Let us live for the day.
Woo!
Thank you, Daryl. That was beautiful. Good morning, everyone. I'm Reverend Glenda Davis, and I would like to welcome you to the Spiritual Enrichment Center of Dothan for this hour of remembering and celebrating the truth of who we really are. And we are so very happy that you are here with us today. We want to welcome Siobhan back. Siobhan has been on an amazing healing journey with God working in her and through her every step of the way. So get her to tell you a little bit about some of it if you can. It's wonderful to have you here. You look absolutely magnificent.
Welcome home.
And Renee's been off on a journey. Welcome back to home. I'm happy to have you here. And Jennifer, would you like to introduce your guest?
This is my daughter, Holly.
Holly, hi, welcome.
Welcome.
Okay, let's see. I have a couple of announcements. One, I want to remind you that if you would like to use an electronic system of giving during the offering, these little orange cards are on the chairs in front of you, and it shows you how you can text money. So that's one option for you. I also want to mention that the first Sunday in June, we're going to have Friendship Sunday. And so this is the Sunday when you can bring a friend who might want to know more about what we do here. We're going to explain. I'm going to have a talk that explains what our teaching is about. So this would be a good time to bring a guest. It's also our first Sunday of the month potluck. So you can invite them here for lunch following that. So keep that in mind, the first Sunday in June. And Marvin has some more announcements for us.
Woo, Marvin!
Yay!
The general is here.
Yay!
Okay. The
Whoop, whoop.
last Sunday in April, Tuesday is May Day.
Mayday, Mayday.
That doesn't mean it's an emergency or anything like that. It just means it's Traditional Workers' Day. Okay, I want to thank everyone who made this service possible today. Brother Daryl drives all the way from Tallytown. We appreciate that. Bring some wonderful music with him. Denise is doing our PowerPoint today. Rick is on the sound and as trainer. We don't get down to assistance. This is not a union shop. Charles did our meditation this morning. We appreciate that. Jan is our service assistant. And Cecilia is doing our children today. So we appreciate all those. Okay, Wednesday at noon is our monthly interfaith luncheon at the Evergreen Presbyterian Church. In case you don't know where that is, it's on Pontiac, just off of Cherokee. So bring your bag lunch and join a group of different faiths who gather to celebrate our diversity and our unity. Wednesday night, we continue with our Prosperity Plus 2 program. We're on week 3, If you're not enrolled in the class but would like to check it out, feel free to come by and join us. You don't have to be formally a member of the group. Just show up and listen. That's all you got to do. Next Sunday, being our first Sunday, we celebrate after the service with a potluck luncheon. So bring your favorite dish and share it with all of us folks, or don't bring a dish and stay to eat anyway. We always have enough. But we can't carry that too far. So anyway, we're still looking for additional volunteers to help with the sound and PowerPoint during the service. So if you're interested in that, see one of our technicians back there, Genevieve, Rick, Jackie, Desi, or Carl to get trained on this. We still need used computer ink cartridges, and we recycle those with Office Depot. We also recycle cell phones and toiletries at the House of Ruth. They use those there. And we still need food for our pantry. I see some back there in the basket right now. So someone has brought, I know who it is, but I'm just saying somebody brought in some food, and we certainly appreciate that. And if you know of anyone who might need some food or food supplies, check with one of the folks with a yellow tag, and they are board members, and put them on the case. We will be reconvening at Chow King after the service today, if anybody is interested in that. Glenda will open with a prayer over there, and we'll get that place shaped. Uh-oh, I feel a tug on my... That's not really true. Bye.
Yay, my man!
Okay, you have a yellow insert today. And on the back of this insert, there are affirmations. On the front, there's a reminder of things that are coming up. So you can keep that handy. And the back, you can have the affirmations at home to work on there. So let's read them together, starting with the Christ consciousness affirmation. The
Christ's level of consciousness is the only presence and power in the spiritual enrichment center and in my life. All else gently and easily falls away.
Today I remember that there is a family community
which can never be hurt or harmed in any way. I allow that Christ consciousness to guide me. Heaven is here. I allow its inherent presence to resurface, re-energize, and reset my mind. I am guided and supported by divine love every day in every way. I trust and live a fulfilled life from my heart. I give thanks for the presence and power of divine love, light, and life, bringing the promise of heaven to earth here and now. Today, I consciously and powerfully let go of the past and create my life from love, and so it is.
Our inspirational readings will be read today by Becky, reading from Science of Mind, and Elaine, reading from the Daily Word.
Good morning. Good morning. I walk in harmony and acceptance with all beings. These words by Sufi poet Rumi speaks to a sense of oneness and harmony among all beings. Out beyond ideas of right doing and wrongdoing, there is a field. I'll meet you there. When news from throughout the world seems less than harmonious, I reaffirm to myself that peace is possible. In a quiet, prayerful moment, I affirm words of truth, one with all beings. I radiate peace to the world. I let these tranquil words sink deeply in my being and reflect on what they mean to me. I completely completely embody peace, for peace is my true nature. I am one with all beings. My peaceful thoughts, words, and actions support my relationships with all people and help to create a world that works for everyone. And the affirmation for today is, finally, beloved, if there is anything worthy of praise, think about these things. Philippians 4, verse 8.
Our topic today is power up. Impossible is a big word thrown around by small men who find it easier to live in a world they've been given than to explore the power they have to change it. By Muhammad Ali. Until we realize that our own word has the power of life, we will not see clearly in the science of mind. Steve Jobs was well known for his unflinching ability to look beyond perceived challenges and to turn away from advice like it can't be done. Ryan Holiday writes in The Obstacle is the Way how Jobs wanted a computer mouse that would move in any direction, which hadn't been done before. One of his lead engineers told Jobs that a designer on staff had told him this was impossible. The next day, the lead engineer arrived at work to find that Steve Jobs had fired the employee who'd said that. When the replacement came in, his first words, "I can build a mouse," Holiday writes. Just a week before the first Macintosh computer was supposed to be shipped to customers, Jobs was told that it would take 2 weeks. This wasn't good enough for Jobs, and he told his people that if they would complete it in 2 weeks, they could do it in 1 week, which of course they did. His insistence pushed them, once again, past what they ever thought possible, concludes Holiday. Have you been told that something couldn't be done? Or is there an irreversible diagnosis? Or that your debt is insurmountable? Or that a certain job or career isn't for you? Perhaps, like Jobs, we can recognize that immense power is at our disposal, but only if we believe it. Ernst Holmes told us we are dealing with the same power that molds the planets. Let's power up. Let's do this thing called life. Our affirmation for today is, I am a master of potential, and I believe it is done unto me as I believe.
And now we will sing Surely the Presence, which is printed on the screen and in your bulletin.
Surely the presence of God is in this place. I can feel the mighty power and the grace. I can hear the brush of angel wings. I see glory. Surely the presence of God is in this place.
Yes, surely the presence of God, the good, is in this place. So as we just relax into this presence, into this essence, into this power, we let it uphold us and support us, lift us up as we relax back into the everlasting arms as we sit in the silence together. Yes, surely the presence of God is in this place. How wonderful it is to come together today to acknowledge that, to remember that, to speak our word for that, to support and encourage ourselves and each other in knowing that and living from that truth. Surely the presence of God is everywhere present. It is all powerful. It is all knowing. There is nothing impossible in this life of God, and we are its expressions. We are the living manifestation of this truth, and we let it flow through us, in us, as us. We are the hands, the heart, the mind of God in expression in our world. What can be done will be done in us and as us. I am grateful for this understanding, for this realization, for this peace, for this security of knowing that in Him do we live, move, and have our being. How wonderful this is. We salute and acknowledge all people who gather to remember this, to celebrate this oneness by whatever names they call this divine energy and life force, by whatever place they meet to remember this together, whether they meet in sanctuaries or synagogues, mosques, cathedrals, temples, little rural churches, little churches out in the valley someplace, home altars, Native American altars, wherever people meet to remember and celebrate this truth, we honor their path. We honor the path that is right for them. And we especially honor and bless and appreciate our own path here at the Spiritual Enrichment Center, the path that has spoken to our hearts and reminded us of the truth of who we are, that we may go out and live this truth and spread this truth out into the world, expanding and increasing it in awareness. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Divine Presence. And now let's look at the opening prayer on the bulletin and on the screen and read it together. There is only one presence and one power in the universe and in my life, God the good, omnipotent.
I love myself the way I am. There's nothing I need to change. I'll always be the perfect me. There's nothing to rearrange. I'm beautiful and capable of being the best me I can. And I love myself just the way I am. I love you the way you are. There's nothing you need to do. When I feel the love inside myself, it's easy to love you. Behind your fears, your rage and tears, I see your shining star, and I love you just the way you are. I love the world the way it is, 'cause I can clearly see that all the things I judge are done by people just like me. So till the birth of peace on earth that only love can bring, I'll help it grow by loving everything. I love myself the way I am, and still I want to grow. But change outside can only come when deep inside I know I'm beautiful and capable of being the best me I can. And I love myself just the way I am. Yes, I love myself just the way I am. Okay, everybody, let's stand. Let's do our hymn, When I Pray, by Daniel Namad. I'm taping something. I feel my heart go deeper, my heart go deeper into my God. When I pray, I feel my heart go deeper, my heart go deeper into my God. Right here, yes, and right now, right where I am, I pray. Right here, and right now, right where I am, I pray. When I pray, I feel my soul go deeper, my soul go deeper into my God. When I pray, I feel my soul go deeper, my soul go deeper into my God. Right here and right now, right where I am, I pray. Right here and right now, right where I am, I pray. When I pray, I feel my love go deeper, my love go deeper into my God. When I pray, I feel my love go deeper, my love go deeper into my God. Right here and right now, right where I am, I pray. Right here and right now, right where I am, I pray. When I pray, I feel my love go deeper, my love go deeper into my God.
Our message this morning is titled, Build Your Tomorrow Today, and it will be given by our very own Debbie Hazelton. Please welcome Debbie.
Well, good morning.
Good morning.
Hey, it's great to be with you all again. Yeah, before service we were having conversations. Thank you. We were having conversations with a couple of people I was about cats and all kinds of cool stuff. I tell you, love my cats. Yeah. Okay, so this is an interesting topic. the topics are chosen and they go across, I guess, the U.S. and maybe beyond the U.S. for all Centers for Spiritual Living. And so when I got this talk title, I thought, oh man, that sounds more like motivation. And motivation is about movement. Motivation is about action. And there's a place for action. I'm more about inspiration. What's the difference? Well, motivation is about movement, and inspiration is about interchange that leads to movement. So it doesn't make one wrong, but I remember when I was on the motivation station, it was my first radio where I wrote groups of features and they were syndicated. I don't know if any of you ever heard of the motivation station. It was WNN, and they had this little ID that they sang, "For winners only," and I hated it. I hated that. I thought, that sounds like, well, what if you don't feel like a winner? What if you don't see yourself as a winner, but maybe you know that you're in the game and you're doing your best, but maybe you're not out just to win, because that sounds very competitive. So the station manager wasn't too happy with me, but I wrote a tagline that I put on my features that sounds very much like Unity or Science of Mind. And I said, affirming the winner within you that is always seeking to express itself as you. I'm Debbie Hazelton. That's how I ended my feature. And he, I heard through the grapevine, oh, he didn't like that. Well, he soon didn't want me to continue, but it was a great opportunity, and it was again, sometimes when we know what door we don't want or what isn't our style, we get to know what we do embrace. So there are a couple things in the notes about this talk that were given to me that I went, I don't know, I don't really go for that. But, I don't go for that was the song. But we can find what we do go for, and we can often meet in the middle. So when I'm thinking about why do we need a title like Build Your Tomorrow Today? Well, it reminds me of a little joke that said, today's procrastination day, but I'm going to put it off until tomorrow. Now I want to say a few words about procrastination, because sometimes procrastination is about waiting for the right time, or waiting to find out what it is we really want or need. Sometimes it isn't always about just putting things off, but we know that Miss Scarlet and Gone with the Wind, she was always going to put everything off until tomorrow. So procrastination sometimes gets a bad rap. But this person who had notes on this talk had a long section about how the past doesn't exist and how the future doesn't exist, and all there is now. Well, if you go to where Ram Dass is, Des and I saw a little movie about Ram Dass. He has a clock that has now all around the whole clock. It's only now. No matter what time it is, it's now. And so, but if we say to somebody, well, the past doesn't exist. Now, how do you think those women who struggled with Bill Cosby or anyone else that we're hearing about from the Me Too, how do you think they felt when anyone said to them, you can't do anything about that, that now doesn't exist? When people said the Holocaust didn't exist, how do you think those people felt who carried those memories? How does someone feel who is stuck? And their now is the then. Still, their now is back there. So my feeling is that when we say the now, the then is you can't do anything about the past, it doesn't exist, and, just be in the now, that is often putting a cover over something, and it's a discount. I remember feeling that it as a discount. And it really is a way of somebody saying, I don't want to hear about it. I don't want to hear about it. Enough is enough. Well, sometimes we have to go to our own wine barrel and slosh around in that old wine until we're ready to turn it into wine of wisdom. And, you know, that is a individual kind of thing as to when somebody's ready to get out of that wine barrel. But, so what can we do if that past is still needling at us? Well, we can work through it. You probably heard me say that I think many of our problems stem from over-processed food and under-processed emotions. And sometimes we need to be able to process what our feelings are, what it is that we're still carrying, because if we don't, it raises much havoc in our own body and in our relationships, in our work. So our past, though we can't change it, it's true, we cannot, but we can use it as rich soil as we build into our tomorrow. Our past can be rich soil, and we can rewrite our story. We can have an impact on changing the whole structure of our cells, the whole message of what goes on in our own bodies as we rewrite our stories, reframing our past, and we can gain tons of wisdom from our past and know what we want to do differently. And that's a good thing. Whoa, I don't want to make the same mistakes tomorrow that I made either today or yesterday. Okay, that's a great thing. So when people don't let the past go, why would it be that someone would say, other than maybe they don't want to hear it, why would it be that they would say, come on, get over the past? Well, it has a lot to do with shaping our beliefs. And how many times have you heard people say, well, that's the way it's always been, and that's the way the world works, and I'm basing it on, let's say they say, I'm basing it on all these things I've heard for years and the only thing I've ever known. Any of you might remember the story about the cook that had a ham, and they put it in the pan, and they cut the ends off, and they put it in the pan. Some of you know that story, yeah. And they went back, somebody said, well, why do you cut the ends off? I don't know, my mom always did it. And they go to the mom, well, why did you do it? Well, my mom always did it. And they keep going back, and finally they get really to some great-great-grandmother. And she says, well, it's the only pan it would fit in. But many times we do things like that, and we don't always know why, and we want to, have you ever known people that argue for their limitations? Oh my goodness, I'm not going to change, I'm going to hold on to the way it was, and I don't want to know any better way. Well, that's sometimes somebody that's still in the old wine barrel. But okay, so that's about the past. So today is a gift, and that's why we call it the present. I agree with this, that came out of the notes. So the present, the gift, how do we present ourselves? Remember the talk I did, are you open for business? How do you present yourself as the business that you are and that you offer? So we talk about presence with an E-N-C-E, which reminds me of essence, even though there's another word in another S in essence, or the presence, E-N-T-S, the gifts. And if we look at the word present as present, everything is present. And what would we do differently if we remember, and I think Jesus knew this, that everything we need is present. Everything is already here. So when we worry, what we're really doing is we're pushing it away instead of reveling in the goodness that's already here. So again, if we believe what we want to receive, we give thanks in advance, we act as if, we fake it till we make it, but when we do that kind of thing, I think it's really important that it be backed by integrity. There are people out there, and you know when you're around them, they got the right script, but something doesn't feel right. They're saying all the right things, they got the right look, but you know something, they're missing a few their line of braille is missing a few dots. They're a few pickles short of a full jar. There are a lot of phrases for that that are so funny. But anyway, so we can trust in the presence. Now, Dr. Will Coleman, some of you know, and I talked about him last time and does studies with him, and he says repeatedly, if you want to know what you're doing in the future, what you're going to be doing in the future, look at what you're doing right now. So, I want to talk for a few minutes about the dipper in the bucket. The dipper in the bucket. I don't know if any of you ever heard of this, but it's a little parable that I heard of years ago, and I actually put it in my book. I thought it was an anonymous author. Now I have found since it was written by Dr. Donald Clifton years ago. He did a lot of work in this. And he says that we all carry a bucket with us, and that bucket, the size of it, is determined by our self-esteem, and the level in it is also determined by our self-esteem, or really what we believe about ourselves, what we believe we're worthy of. So I had a client who was 11, and she said that she carried her bucket, it was the size of a thimble, and she would just let it get a little bit in it, and she'd take it home and lock it up under lock and key. Now, some people know they carry big buckets. A lot of people are afraid to carry their bucket. Oh, I can't let anybody know I want this or that. I would sound way too grandiose if I said that, or if I showed that I wanted this or that. So, our bucket is very important, the size and the shape of it. And we know, we talk about bucket lists too, you know, and our dreams, the things we want to accomplish before we leave this plane, this dimensions. Well, this story goes on and it talks about dippers, that other people have dippers, and they can get their dippers into our buckets and take out from us things like criticisms and put downs and things like that. And some people have little dippers and some have big dippers, but I want us to think about our own dippers that we dip out of our own buckets. Because when we use limiting self-language, and you know when you hear it, somebody drives wrong and they go, "Oh, where are you going, stupid?" Or, "Man, I am so brain dead today." Oh, maybe none of you do that. Maybe none of you say those messages. Maybe it's only those other people you know. But really, sometimes, even if it's not self-talk like that, it might be a feeling of, "Oh, why don't I do this right?" You know? Well, those kinds of subtle negative feelings add up, and they dip out of our buckets. Whereas when we give ourselves that positive feeling, we fill our buckets. Now, this author says the only way to fill our bucket is to fill other people's buckets. I don't totally agree with that, because sometimes you know people who say all kinds of loving things, but they don't feel filled up with love themselves. So when we are about this business of filling our own buckets with self-care, with self-love, with feeling the love of inspiration within us and all around us, we can go a much greater way to make a difference in our world. Now, you know, a person whose bucket is full is going to sound very different when their bucket is empty or near to empty. Man, I used to think I had a hole in mine. But when a person's bucket is empty or low, they don't know how to take a compliment. You know, "Oh, that's a really nice dress you're wearing." "Oh, this? Well, what's wrong with the one I wore yesterday?" But what about a person whose bucket is full, even when they're stressed? I was stressed at my computer yesterday, and I managed to stay calm. A person whose bucket is full is ready to be more flexible and able to move forward. Now, there was a question last time about what do we do with our wants and needs, because Glenda had said, be very specific with them, and I had said, expect the fullness but demand nothing. So what that little difference is, that I think we need to be specific within ourselves in knowing what it is we want And then be able to trust. It's like trusting, handing it over, casting the burden, trusting the guides and angels, the source, the spirit, whatever you want to call it, them, whoever it is, to work it out for us. And I heard one time somebody said, you know, when you pray and you really want something, the universe, the being in charge rearranges the whole universe to accommodate that for you. That's an interesting thought. What if everything gets rearranged just to make things work for us the way we really want or need them to work? But what I think is really important is to say this or something better. And one of my favorite authors, Florence Scovel-Shinn, says, under grace in perfect ways. Now, I think one thing that gets in the way is fear of success. Oh my goodness, what if it's lonely? What if I don't know how to handle it? What if I don't know enough? So that fear can be a reason that sometimes people are afraid to go forward. But asking for help. Okay, Spirit, I'm afraid. I don't know if I know enough. Please guide me, lead me, fill me with all of the tools and the talents that I need, and help me know when to use them. Help me to discern. And with that, I think we can move into our future. So what I also came to last night as I was thinking about this is, while we have a bucket that is what we carry, we are also in a container. We are in the container of spirit, our energy field, that is really, we have more than one body. Did you know that? More than our physical body. And we have emotional bodies and spiritual body and soul, and we just expand way out from where we are in our energy field. And so this container is what we live in, our container of spirit source. And so if you just imagine for a moment that this container is filled with all your talents, your tools, with your sense of mission of what you came in to do and be, and it's filled with all of the loving thoughts that have ever been sent your way. It's filled with all of the good wishes. It's filled with all of the help you have ever needed and will ever need. And so it's filled with all the good that's just waiting for you to receive it. The good and the right directions are already seeking each one of us. So I believe that as we are even more fully comfortable, really comfort-able in our own container of spirit source, essence, presence, then we are already. That today is how we move into another tomorrow that becomes another today. So let us say our affirmation that is on the, turn my page, what did I do? Okay. Oh, I have it here. What did I do? Oh, here it is. Okay, our affirmation, I'll say it once. Today, I consciously and powerfully let go of the past and create my life from love. Together?
Today, I consciously and powerfully let go of the past and create my life from love.
Okay, and let's just have a moment of going in to our own spiritual container. And this container is round because it goes all around us, and gradually as we open up to it, it really connects all of us, but it's round, it's not a box. It's not a box to trap us in any corner, but we know that there is only God. There is only spirit, presence, essence, and it is holding us, it is guiding us, it is bringing us so that we can plant our wisdom from the past in the rich soil of understanding, and we can be in our today where everything we need is already pre-sent that leads us into our future. And we give many, many thanks because this good is always pouring forth. always, in all ways. And so it is. Amen. Oh, darn, my levitation ability isn't working yet.
I'm not worried about tomorrow.
Perfect.
Today I declare freedom from yesterday, mistakes of the past. Today all things are made new, and don't it feel good to know that
All is well and unfolding like it should.
everybody's
All is well, Lord. All is well. Divine Spirit is expecting and right now directing it. Okay. All is well, children. All is well. All is well and unfolding like it should. Like it should.
I can change my reality
Yeah.
by changing my mind.
Oh.
Perfect peace,
Oh.
joy, and happiness
Yeah.
is yours and is mine.
Preach.
I am loved and so are you. Oh, and don't it feel good to know that
All is well and unfolding like it should. Come on.
now.
All is well. Oh yeah. All is well. Divine Spirit is directing and right now. All is well. All is well. All is well and unfolding like it should.
I am close
Yes.
in the spirit. I am fed by the divine.
Yes.
I am one with all that is. My soul is free from time.
Yes.
I am blessed and so are you. Hey, don't it feel good to know that
All is well and unfolding like it should. Come on.
everybody's
All is well. All is well. Divine Spirit is directing me right now. Oh, all is well. All is well. All is well. All is well. And unfolding like it should. Oh, like it should. Yeah, 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 yeah. Woo! Yay!
That was cute. That was sweet.
Now is the time in our service where we have the opportunity to circulate our good through the spiritual practice of giving. Please hold your gift and say with me the blessings of love offerings and tithes printed on the screen.
Freely I give with an attitude of abundance, for I know that as I give joyfully, I receive abundantly. For the law of circulation is active in my life right now. And so it is.
I am so blessed.
Oh, yes, I am. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all I have. I am so blessed, oh yeah. I am so blessed, amen. I am so grateful yes I am. I am so grateful for all I give. Every day I am so blessed. Every day we are so blessed.
We are so blessed. What beautiful music and what a wonderful message. Thank you, Daryl and Debbie. It was lovely.
Hey, a double D, and we got Des right here.
And Des You're right. Okay, let's just go within in gratitude for all of our blessings. The blessings of today, the blessings that are being present for tomorrow, all the blessings in our lives. We are so grateful. And we are so grateful here at the Spiritual Enrichment Center for the blessings that flow so generously here to the Spiritual Enrichment Center to enable us to spread this word, this good word of love and blessings and just wonderful expansion of good in our lives. Thank you, Divine Spirit. We are truly blessed, and so it is.
Amen.
And now we will do our peace song.
Mm-hmm.
Stand.
Yes, there is peace on earth, and yes, it begins with me. Yes, there is peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be with God as Creator. Family all are we. Yes, we walk with each other in perfect harmony. Yes, peace begins with me, and this is my moment now. With every breath I take, yes, this is my joyous vow to take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Yes, there is peace on earth, and yes, it begins with me. The light of God surrounds us, the love of God enfolds us, the power of God protects us, the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.
And repeat after me. Something wonderful is happening in my life right now.
Something wonderful is happening in my life right now.
I know it.
I know it.
I feel it.
I feel it.
I believe it.
I believe it.
And I allow it to flow.
Yeah, allow it to flow. Yay, God. All right, everybody, thank you for being on. It's a mind thing.
I said down. No, you stay.
Nice presentation. I enjoyed that. You did good.
Thank you very much.
Yes, we are. Hey, Charles.
Hey, Debbie, it's Charles. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Love y'all.
So all the good stuff you got, you're still able to...
See you, Cassandra. Love you. Jerica, Sharon, hey.
My friend Lynn thinks she might have...
And John, hey. Have a great day, darlings. Appreciate you all. Peace and blessings.